The quantum anomaly detector at CERN's Deep Space Monitoring Station chirped once, then fell silent. Dr. Elena Rossi might have missed it entirely if she hadn't been working late that night, analyzing data from their latest series of experiments. She froze, coffee cup halfway to her lips, and stared at the readout. The signature was unlike anything she'd ever seen before, a massive distortion in space-time, approximately 2.3 astronomical units from Earth. Within hours, every major observatory on the planet had their instruments trained on that sector of space. The images they captured sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Massive vessels, each larger than Earth's largest cities, seemingly materializing from nowhere. Their hulls gleamed with an otherworldly purple-black sheen that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Commander Sarah Chen of the International Space Defense Force received the first transmission at 300 hours UTC. The message was clear and broadcast simultaneously in every human language. We are the Galactic Empire. Your world has been selected for integration. Submit to our authority within 72 Earth hours or face immediate termination. Resistance is futile and will result in planetary sterilization. The UN Security Council convened an emergency session within the hour. Representatives from every nation gathered in New York, old rivalries forgotten in the face of this unprecedented threat. Dr. Rossi, now working with a hastily assembled team of international scientists, presented their preliminary findings. The Kraxan ships employ some form of quantum displacement drive, she explained, gesturing to the holographic display. Their energy signatures are off the charts, but there's something peculiar about their shield frequencies. They're modulating in a very specific pattern, almost as if they're trying to counteract something. While politicians debated and militaries worldwide went on high alert, Dr. James Chen, no relation to the commander, made an accidental discovery in his quantum physics lab at MIT. He'd been running tests on some unusual electromagnetic readings when his entire lab suddenly lost power. When the systems came back online, he noticed that the quantum signature from the alien ships had briefly fluctuated. Working through the night, Dr. Chen and his team began to piece together a theory. The Kraxan's advanced technology relied on quantum stability, but Earth's natural electromagnetic field seemed to interfere with their systems in subtle ways. It wasn't much, but it was something. The first hint that these seemingly invincible invaders might have a weakness. Commander Chen, meanwhile, was organizing Earth's first line of defense. The ISDF had been created 5 years earlier as a joint international force, primarily focused on asteroid defense and space debris management. Now they would face a far greater challenge. Their fleet of space-capable fighters might seem primitive compared to the Kraxan ships, but they had one advantage. They were designed to operate within Earth's electromagnetic field. We need more time, Dr. Rossi argued during an emergency briefing. If we can stall them, maybe we can find a way to exploit this weakness. The UN Security Council agreed, and a diplomatic mission was hastily arranged. The human delegation, led by Ambassador Marcus Rodriguez, departed for the Kraxan flagship in a shuttle specially modified to broadcast subtle electromagnetic pulses. As they approached the massive alien vessel, their sensors recorded minute fluctuations in its shield harmonics. The Kraxan themselves proved to be tall, imposing figures with iridescent exoskeletons and multiple sets of arms. Their leader, High Commander Vexthor, received the human delegation with what passed for amusement in their species. Your attempt at diplomacy is noted, Vexthor stated through a translation field. But unnecessary. The Empire has integrated thousands of worlds. Your resistance would be brief and futile. What the Kraxan commander didn't reveal was the growing concern among his technical staff. Since arriving in Earth's solar system, their quantum systems had been experiencing unusual fluctuations. Minor malfunctions were beginning to cascade through their fleet's neural networks. The humans' primitive technology shouldn't have been capable of causing such effects, but something was definitely interfering with their systems. As Ambassador Rodriguez engaged in careful diplomatic maneuvering, buying precious time, Dr. Chen made another breakthrough. Earth's electromagnetic field wasn't just interfering with Craxan technology. It was actively destabilizing their quantum matrix. The effect was subtle but cumulative. The longer their ships remained in Earth's vicinity, the more pronounced the interference became. The first major malfunction occurred 48 hours into the countdown. A Craxan scout ship, moving to deploy surveillance platforms around Earth, suddenly lost quantum containment. The vessel didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, its matter scattered across quantum space. The incident sent shockwaves through the Craxan fleet. Nothing like this had ever happened before. High Commander Vexthor demanded answers, but his science division was at a loss. How could such a primitive world be causing quantum destabilization? The Empire's technology had conquered thousands of worlds across multiple galaxies. Yet somehow, this insignificant planet was proving problematic. As the 72-hour deadline approached, humanity prepared for what might be its final stand. But they had something the Craxan didn't expect: understanding. Earth's scientists had cracked the code of their weakness, and a plan was already in motion. The question was, could they implement it in time? Dr. Rossi stared at her quantum readings, a small smile playing at her lips. The Craxan Empire was about to learn that humanity wasn't as primitive as they thought. Sometimes, the simplest forces in nature could overcome the most advanced technology. The real war was about to begin. Dr. James Chen's lab at MIT had become the epicenter of Earth's scientific resistance. Hundreds of screens displayed real-time data from the Craxan fleet, each showing increasingly erratic quantum fluctuations. Teams of scientists worked around the clock, fueled by coffee and the desperate knowledge that humanity's survival hung in the balance. "Look at this," Dr. Chen called out, pointing to a particularly striking anomaly. "Their quantum field destabilizes by another 0.3% every time they pass through a strong electromagnetic pocket." He turned to Dr. Rossi, who had flown in from CERN to collaborate. "If we could amplify Earth's natural electromagnetic field, we could create zones where their technology simply can't function." Elena finished his thought, her eyes widening with possibility. "But generating fields of that magnitude would require more power than we've ever attempted to harness." In orbit, Commander Chen was already putting the theory to the test. The ISDF had retrofitted a squadron of space fighters with experimental electromagnetic pulse generators. The devices were crude by Craxan standards, but that was exactly the point. Sometimes the simplest solutions were the most effective. The first test came when a Craxan scout ship ventured too close to the atmosphere. "Sierra Squadron, you are cleared to engage." Commander Chen's voice was steady despite the tension. "Remember, this is just a test run. Don't take unnecessary risks." Captain Maya Patil, leading the squadron, acknowledged the order. Her fighter, along with 5 others, moved to intercept the alien vessel. The Craxan ship, easily 20 times their size, didn't even seem to notice them at first. Its purple-black hull absorbed their radar signals, making traditional targeting impossible. But they weren't using traditional weapons. "EMF generators at full power," Maya ordered. "Focus your fields on their drive section." 6 human fighters, arranged in a hexagonal pattern, activated their devices simultaneously. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The Craxan ship's quantum field began to fluctuate wildly. Its hull, normally smooth as glass, rippled like water. The alien vessel tried to retreat, but its quantum drive stuttered and failed. For several crucial seconds, it was dead in space. "Recovery team, move in," Commander Chen ordered. A specialized ISDF vessel, designed to collect space debris, quickly attached itself to the disabled scout ship. Within minutes, they had secured their first piece of Craxan technology. Back on Earth, the success was tempered by the knowledge that they had just revealed their hand. High Commander Vexthor would now know that humans had discovered their weakness. The countdown clock showed just 36 hours remaining. Ambassador Rodriguez, still aboard the Kraxan flagship under the pretense of continued negotiations, noticed an immediate change in the aliens' behavior. Their previously dismissive attitude had been replaced by something closer to concern. Through careful observation, he noted increased activity around what appeared to be their shield generators. "They're adapting," he reported back to Earth through a secured quantum channel. "Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it soon." Dr. Rossi and Dr. Chen had already reached the same conclusion. Working with engineers from every major nation, they had designed a network of massive electromagnetic generators. These devices, when activated together, would create overlapping fields of electromagnetic energy strong enough to disrupt Kraxan technology across entire continents. The problem was power. Generating fields of that magnitude would require more energy than the entire planet currently produced. That's when Dr. Rossi remembered something from her work at CERN, a theoretical method of tapping into Earth's own magnetic field. "We don't need to generate all the power ourselves," she explained to the UN Security Council. "We just need to amplify what's already there. Earth's magnetic field is incredibly powerful. We just don't notice it because we evolved with it." The plan was audacious. Using a network of satellites and ground-based stations, they would create a resonance effect with Earth's magnetic field. The planet itself would become a weapon against the invaders. But there was a catch. The technology was experimental, and the calculations showed a significant risk. If they miscalibrated the resonance, they could disrupt Earth's magnetic field entirely, leaving the planet vulnerable to solar radiation. It would be trading one apocalypse for another. Time was running out. The Kraxan fleet had begun moving into attack positions, their massive ships forming a grid pattern around the planet. Humanity had to make a choice: risk everything on an untested planetary defense system, or submit to alien domination. In her office at ISDF headquarters, Commander Chen received reports from military commands worldwide. Every nation had pledged their support and resources. For the first time in human history, the entire planet was united in purpose. Dr. Chen's team had finished installing the final resonance generators. Dr. Rossi's calculations were triple-checked. Ambassador Rodriguez was recalled from the Kraxan flagship, citing a need to consult with his government. As the ambassador's shuttle departed, High Commander Vex Thor watched with growing unease. Something about the humans' behavior didn't match their technological level. In all the Empire's history of planetary conquests, no species had ever acted quite like this. They seemed almost confident. With 12 hours remaining on the ultimatum clock, humanity prepared to reveal just how dangerous a primitive species could be. The real question was, would their gamble pay off, or had they just provided the Kraxan Empire with the perfect excuse to begin their attack early? High Commander Vex Thor didn't wait for the ultimatum to expire. The sudden departure of the human ambassador and increasing electromagnetic anomalies around Earth had convinced him to act. With 15 hours remaining on the countdown, the Kraxan fleet began its advance. Multiple contacts, all vectors. The ISDF control center erupted with alerts as massive alien vessels descended through the thermosphere. Commander Chen watched the tactical display with steady eyes, waiting for the precise moment. Timing would be everything. "All stations report ready," Dr. Rossi's voice came through on the secure channel. She stood in CERN's control center, surrounded by banks of monitors showing the status of the global resonance network. Every major particle accelerator on Earth had been converted into an electromagnetic pulse generator. The power grid of entire continents had been rerouted to support what they were about to attempt. The Kraxan attack force split into three main groups. The largest, led by Vex Thor's flagship, moved to position itself over the northern hemisphere. The other two groups spread out to cover Earth's remaining strategic points. Their formation was perfect, exactly as humanity had predicted they would deploy. It was also exactly what Earth's defenders had been counting on. "Execute Operation Thunderstrike," Commander Chen ordered. "All units, engage according to plan." Across the planet, hidden electromagnetic generators powered up. In orbit, ISDF fighters launched from concealed bases on the Moon and Mars, their hulls specially shielded against what was about to happen. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, a dormant particle accelerator facility, built in secret over the past decade, hummed to life. Dr. Chen, monitoring from MIT, watched as the first phase began. Resonance field activating, he reported. Earth's magnetic field is responding exactly as predicted. The effect was subtle at first. The Kraxan ship's quantum fields flickered slightly, something their crews had grown accustomed to since arriving in Earth's system. But this time, the disruption didn't fade. Instead, it began to grow. Captain Maya Patel led the first attack run, her squadron of fighters diving through the atmosphere ahead of the electromagnetic wave. "Remember your training," she transmitted to her pilots. "Once the field hits, their shields will fail from the outside in. Target their drive sections during the cascade." The Kraxan fleet's response was immediate and overwhelming. Energy weapons capable of vaporizing cities targeted the approaching human fighters. But Maya's pilots were ready. They scattered in precise patterns, each movement calculated to draw enemy fire away from the real targets. The resonance generators spread across Earth's surface. High Commander Vex Thor realized too late what the humans had planned. "Quantum field integrity failing," his engineering chief reported. "The planetary magnetic field. It's somehow being amplified." The first Kraxan ship to fall was a mid-sized cruiser over the Indian Ocean. Its quantum field collapsed completely, leaving it vulnerable to conventional weapons. A barrage of missiles from hidden submarine bases struck its now unprotected hull, sending the massive vessel crashing into the empty ocean below. But the Kraxan Empire hadn't conquered thousands of worlds by being easily defeated. Vex Thor ordered his fleet to adapt, modifying their quantum fields to resist the electromagnetic assault. For a few crucial minutes, it seemed to work. That's when Dr. Rossi initiated Phase 2. "Activating the Antarctic accelerator," she announced. The massive facility, built into the bedrock of the continent, had a single purpose: to create a controlled quantum disruption using Earth's magnetic field as an amplifier. The effect was devastating. A wave of electromagnetic energy, visible as a spectacular aurora, swept across the planet. Kraxan ships caught in its path didn't explode or break apart. They simply failed. Quantum fields collapsed, drive systems shut down, and the mighty vessels of the Empire began to fall. Direct hit on the flagship, Maya reported, her fighter dodging debris as Vex Thor's massive command ship listed in orbit. Their primary systems are offline. But victory came with a price. The enormous power drain from the resonance network had caused blackouts across entire continents. Several of the generators had overloaded, creating localized electromagnetic pulses that disabled both alien and human technology alike. In the ISDF control center, Commander Chen made a difficult decision. "Launch the boarding teams," she ordered. "Take that flagship before they can restore power." Special Forces units, trained in zero-gravity combat and equipped with hardened electronics, launched from concealed positions around the planet. As they approached the stricken Kraxan flagship, they encountered surprisingly little resistance. The electromagnetic assault had done more than disable the ship's systems. It had disrupted the very technology that the Kraxan relied on for their combat capabilities. Dr. Chen, monitoring the quantum readings, suddenly noticed something alarming. "The resonance is becoming unstable," he reported. "We can't maintain this level of disruption without risking permanent damage to Earth's magnetic field." In orbit, the battle had reached its critical point. Half the Kraxan fleet was disabled or destroyed, but the remaining ships were adapting to the electromagnetic assault. Earth's defenders had minutes at most before the advantage slipped away. That's when Ambassador Rodriguez, who had been coordinating with the boarding teams, made contact with High Commander Vex Thor himself. The Kraxan leader, his mighty flagship dead in space, faced a choice: continue a battle that would likely destroy both sides, or accept the unthinkable, defeat at the hands of a primitive species. The fate of two civilizations hung in the balance, and time was running out for both of them. The quantum disturbance rippled through space like a stone thrown into a cosmic pond. Deep in Kraxan territory, automated beacons activated, broadcasting news of the unthinkable. An Imperial fleet had been defeated by a pre-quantum civilization. The Empire's response was swift and massive. Dr. Rossi detected them first. Multiple quantum signatures, she reported from CERN, much larger than the first wave. They're using a different quantum frequency. They've adapted. The reinforcement fleet emerged from quantum space at the edge of the solar system, their hulls gleaming with a new silvery sheen. These ships were different, designed specifically to resist electromagnetic interference. Leading them was Fleet Admiral Zarkax, the Empire's foremost military commander, known for crushing rebellions across 3 galaxies. The humans have proven more resourceful than expected. Zarkax transmitted to the remains of Vexthor's fleet. But they have also revealed their primary weapon. The Empire does not suffer defeat. Commander Chen studied the tactical displays with growing concern. The new Kraxan vessels were clearly built for war, bristling with weapons that made the first wave look primitive by comparison. But something about their approach bothered her. They were being too cautious, too methodical. They're afraid, Ambassador Rodriguez realized, watching from the captured flagship where he and the boarding teams still held High Commander Vexthor. They've never encountered a species that could hurt them before. They don't know what else we might have. Dr. Chen's analysis of the new ships confirmed their worst fears. The quantum shielding has been completely redesigned, he reported. Our current resonance frequencies won't be effective. We need to find a new approach, fast. But humanity had learned from the first battle. While the Kraxan Empire had been rushing to build ships resistant to electromagnetic interference, Earth's scientists had been studying the captured technology from Vexthor's fallen vessels. What they found changed everything. Look at this, Dr. Rossi pointed to a complex quantum diagram. Their new shielding isn't just resistant to our weapons, it's actively suppressing Earth's magnetic field. They're trying to turn our own defense against us. Captain Maya Patel discovered the effect firsthand when her squadron encountered a probe from the new fleet. Her fighters' electromagnetic weapons had no effect, and the probe's counterfield nearly crashed their systems. They barely escaped, but the data they gathered proved invaluable. The field suppression has a pulse, Maya reported, her voice steady despite her near brush with death. There's a fraction of a second delay between each quantum cycle. It's tiny, but it's there. Working through sleepless nights, Dr. Chen and his team developed a new theory. If they couldn't overpower the Kraxan's enhanced shielding, perhaps they could synchronize with it instead. The idea was radical. Use the enemy's own quantum field as a carrier wave for their electromagnetic attack. But implementing this strategy would require something unprecedented. Direct coordination between human and Kraxan technology. That's when Commander Chen made a controversial decision. She ordered a team of engineers to work with their prisoner, High Commander Vexthor. The Kraxan leader, humbled by his defeat but still proud, was initially resistant. "Why should I help you fight my own people?" he demanded. Ambassador Rodriguez, who had spent more time with Vexthor than any other human, provided the answer. "Because you've seen what happens when the Empire underestimates humanity. Help us find a peaceful solution, or watch your reinforcements make the same mistake you did." While this unlikely collaboration developed, Fleet Admiral Zarkax began his attack. The new Kraxan ships moved in precise formation, their field suppressors creating zones where Earth's magnetic field was completely neutralized. In these dead zones, human technology struggled to function. Dr. Rossi watched in horror as the Antarctic Accelerator facility went offline. Across the planet, the resonance network flickered and failed as the suppression field spread. The Empire's counterstrike was working exactly as planned. But humanity had one advantage the Kraxan hadn't counted on: experience with failure. Unlike the Empire, which had known only victory for millennia, humans were intimately familiar with setbacks and defeats. They had learned to adapt, to find new solutions when old ones failed. In a hidden facility beneath the Atacama Desert, a backup system designed by Dr. Chen's team was about to change the rules of engagement once again. They called it Project Echo, and it represented humanity's understanding of something the Kraxan had forgotten long ago. Sometimes the best defense isn't a stronger shield, but a completely unexpected approach. As Zarkax's fleet moved into position for what they believed would be the final battle, they failed to notice a subtle change in the quantum background noise of the solar system. The humans weren't trying to fight the suppression field anymore. They were letting it spread, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal what they had learned from studying their first contact with a quantum civilization. The Empire was about to discover that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their electromagnetic weapons. It was their ability to turn an enemy's strength into a weakness. Project Echo activated silently, its quantum resonators hidden in deep space absorbing and reflecting the Kraxan suppression field. Dr. Chen watched the readings with intense focus, waiting for the precise moment when the enemy's defense would become their vulnerability. All stations, prepare for Echo Protocol, Commander Chen ordered. Around the world, military and scientific installations powered down, appearing to succumb to the Kraxan's suppression field. Fleet Admiral Zarkax observed this apparent surrender with satisfaction. The primitive's resistance falters, he announced to his fleet. Begin final approach for planetary pacification. But High Commander Vexthor, still in human custody, recognized something in their behavior that his replacement did not. They're too calm, he warned Ambassador Rodriguez. Your people have faced extinction before. This quiet, it's not defeat. He was right. In the Atacama facility, Dr. Rossi initiated the final phase of Project Echo. The quantum resonators, precisely positioned throughout the solar system, didn't just absorb the Kraxan suppression field, they synchronized with it, creating a complex web of quantum harmonics. Think of it like a mirror, Dr. Chen had explained during the project's development. We're not fighting their technology anymore. We're reflecting it, amplifying it, and turning it back on itself. The effect began subtly. Zarkax's flagship experienced minor fluctuations in its quantum field, nothing their enhanced shielding couldn't handle. But with each passing second, the resonance grew stronger. The suppression field, designed to neutralize Earth's magnetic field, instead created a feedback loop with the Echo network. Captain Maya Patel led the first strike against the destabilized fleet. Her fighters, now equipped with quantum-synchronized weapons, targeted the precise frequencies where the Kraxan ships were most vulnerable. The results were devastating. Multiple quantum field collapses detected, Maya reported. Their enhanced shielding is working against them. They can't shut it down fast enough to stop the cascade. In orbit, Zarkax watched in disbelief as his supposedly invincible fleet began to fail. The suppression field, reflected and amplified by Project Echo, had turned each Kraxan ship into a quantum containment nightmare. The more power they fed into their shields, the stronger the feedback became. Commander Chen seized the moment. All ISDF forces, engage at will. Concentrate fire on ships showing quantum instability. The space around Earth erupted in a display that would have seemed impossible just days earlier. Human fighters, wielding technology that merged their own science with captured Kraxan principles, systematically dismantling the most powerful fleet in known space. Dr. Rossi's voice cut through the chaos. Quantum cascade reaching critical levels. They have to shut down their fields, or their ships will tear themselves apart. In his flagship's command center, Zarkax faced the same realization that Vexthor had come to earlier. Humanity wasn't just fighting back. They were revolutionizing warfare itself. The Empire's superior technology, relied upon for millennia, had become a liability in the face of human innovation. Ambassador Rodriguez, watching the battle from Earth's command center, received the transmission they'd been waiting for. The Kraxan Empire, for the first time in its history, was requesting terms for surrender. The aftermath of the battle brought changes that would reshape both civilizations. The Empire, humbled by its defeat, was forced to recognize Earth not as a primitive world to be conquered, but as a force to be reckoned with. The quantum technology that had made them invincible for so long was now vulnerable to weapons they barely understood. Dr. Chen and Dr. Rossi's research teams began working with Craxan scientists, including a now-pardoned Vexthor, to explore the new principles of quantum physics they had discovered together. The collaboration would eventually lead to breakthroughs that neither civilization could have achieved alone. Commander Chen, promoted to admiral, oversaw the establishment of Earth's first interstellar defense force. Captain Maya Patel's tactics during the battle became required study at military academies across the planet, and eventually across the stars. But perhaps the most significant change came in how humanity viewed itself. They had faced extinction and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. Earth was no longer alone in the universe, and they had proven themselves worthy of their place among the stars. Ambassador Rodriguez, in his address to the United Nations, summed up the sentiment that would define humanity's new era. We were attacked because they thought us primitive. We survived because they forgot that innovation comes not from strength alone, but from the desperate drive to overcome our weaknesses. Today, we take our place in the galaxy not as conquerors or victims, but as equals who have earned their right to the stars. The Craxan Empire, which had sought to add Earth to its list of conquered worlds, instead became the catalyst for humanity's greatest advancement. The quantum resonance technology developed during the war soon powered Earth's first faster-than-light ships. The principle of turning an enemy's strength against them became known as the Echo Doctrine, revolutionizing both military strategy and scientific research across known space. As Earth's first embassy opened on the Craxan homeworld, Dr. Elena Rossi stood beside High Commander Vexthor, both watching ships from a dozen worlds moving through the quantum gates overhead. "Did you ever imagine it would end like this?" she asked. "No," the former enemy commander admitted, "but perhaps that was always humanity's greatest strength, imagining possibilities that we, in all our power, had forgotten existed." The quantum anomaly detector at CERN, which had first alerted humanity to the Craxan arrival, now served as part of an early warning network spanning multiple star systems, but it no longer watched for invaders. Instead, it helped coordinate trade and exploration between Earth and its new allies across the galaxy. Humanity had not just survived, they had changed the very nature of galactic civilization. The age of empire was over. The age of innovation had begun.